My name is Robert Lundström from the Nordic contractor NCC, and especially from one of the companies within the NCC group called NCC Roads. We are acting in all Nordic countries, and we are mainly involved in producing aggregates, asphalt, and also paving works. I'm also working part-time here at KTH as an adjunct professor. And today I would like to talk a little about a subject that I find really interesting. And to spin on from the other two presentations, I would like to say just a few words about what is really a project. What is project management? That is a very interesting topic, I think. And usually you see definitions like in journals that it is a temporary endeavor to create a unique product, service, or result. It could be anything. But what is the most important thing I think about the projects is that within the construction industry we talk about activities in a type of a value chain. For example, building, designing, or maintaining. We saw the first presentation was about designing an infrastructure project. I will talk much about building it, and we all know that maintaining a project is the perhaps most long in time. But what about the project? The project is about what we care about as a company. It depends on what we are contracted from our customers. So if we are contracted for all of these activities, we care about all activities as well. Usually we only produce to build the road. In some contracts we also are contracted to perform the design. So we design and build it. Usually with the help of a specialized consultant company. And in some cases we also design, build, and maintain the facility. And all of these contracting schemes are relevant. They are important, and they should be used in a way. So what is a project actually? It depends on the context we're working in, and it affects how we think about these projects. Our biggest customer within the road infrastructure sector is, of course, the national road authorities. And in Sweden it is the Swedish Road Authority. And they have defined a strategy that we have tried to align to. They have said that they want to increase the number of big projects where we take a longer responsibility for the project. They expect that to improve the road infrastructure by three types of positive effects. It is the first one is called increased commitment. It means that we should work in a better way. We are working in an industry that is not entirely characterized by being a process industry, but also manufacturing, that it really matters how we act on site. They want us to use specialized equipment and methods. We try to do that also. It is very important what you told us before here about compaction equipment. That is one example that affects both commitment and also specialized equipment. And also they want us to use innovative materials. So this was the plan back 10 years ago, and I am, as a researcher at KTH, very interested in what are the effects. It has been somewhat 10 years maybe. I will also say something about current projects, since this is the theme for today. These are an example of design build projects from this year. I don't know, is it 12 or 13, something like that? These are examples. There are a lot of other examples, of course. In this summary, my company has received contracts for 4 out of these 13 or 14 projects. So now we consider them to be a project for NCC, these 4. Before that, they were just on the design table, but as you will see, all of these projects are quite long. They are building it, could be 3 years, and then maintaining it for between 10 and additionally 20 years. So these projects will be within the NCC portfolio for 12 to 15 years at least, compared to other projects that we only might build for 3 years. So there is a completely different focus. And this is exemplified by the old portfolio. Here we have, is it 10 projects, maybe? I'm not that good at counting. And we can see they are distributed in Sweden. And I know that the oldest project up here, the so-called 265 road between Täby kyrkby and Rosenkälla, it was contracted to NCC back in 2005, I think. So it is 10 years today. It was open for traffic in 2008. So it has been ready and running for quite some time now. It is still 8 years to go until the project is ended. And we have other example here also in different stages. And what is interesting about this, it is that when we have a longer focus on these projects, it becomes much more interesting to evaluate them. Are we fulfilling the expectations that our biggest customer has on us? This picture might not be self-explanatory, but I won't give any detailed explanation of it. But I will come back to a research at KTH that we have just started, and it is about following up and comparing different contract methods. For example, design-build projects towards traditional projects. What is the effect? Are design-build projects worse, similar, or better than other projects, for example? And then we come to a very relevant question. How do you compare different projects? What does this project say? It says that some projects have started a certain year, and on the y-axis is how well does it fulfill the requirements? And then it is a relevant question is to ask, how do we put the requirements? Should we have very complex requirements that are not comparable between projects? Is that a good strategy? Should we have very different contract length? Does that make it more easy to compare projects between each other? Of course it is not. But anyway, different projects have different requirements. And so I think it is a very relevant question to ask, how could you compare different projects? Besides the actual performance of the project, another important question I think when it comes to different contracting efforts and is how they promote innovation. These are the different projects. We can see the contract times, and also we can see the type of R&D efforts that we have put into them. I will just say something about them. What is called the Viaco concept is our firm-specific materials that we try to use. A lot of these projects have been made with asphalt that are what you say are NCC standard. Other types of efforts have been devoted to structural design. If we have a contract and performance requirement for 20 years, it is very important that we can predict the performance during this contract time. We have also, we see the third project here, evaluation of bearing capacity and compaction. Compaction is very important in these type of projects. The fourth project, back in 2011, we have made some developments in our asphalt production. That is not necessarily project specific R&D project, but actually within the asphalt industry we have three challenges. It is production temperature in the asphalt plant. We also have the type of fuel we are using in the asphalt plant. And the third is the amount of recycled material we can use. Other types of projects can also be exemplified. For example, polymer modified bitumen. But also for Johan, I know that you are interested in cement and hydraulic binders. At least 3 of these projects have been involving in situ stabilization. So I would say that the idea with the design build contracts is to give the contractor the opportunity to use different techniques, not necessarily standardized, but to have trials and also promote innovation. And I would say that at least these are steps, even quite big ones. So I would say that in all of the design build contracts, some type of effort is always made. And often in cooperation with the industry or our suppliers or our customers. So the summary of initiatives that we try to make in our design build contract is to, of course we try to adapt to our client. So we usually do a lot of organizational changes to have a special dedicated personnel for this type of projects. They need new routines internally at our place, at our company. We need to have more plans, other types of personnel, also new equipment, maybe other different type of pavers, compactors and so on. We try to evaluate materials and even have test tracks on these projects. But perhaps most importantly is to have a good system for knowledge management, because we need to learn in a very short time. 10 years is not very long if you start to buy projects in a different way. And also that we need more cooperation with research organizations to evaluate the performance of this project. And that is perhaps the final conclusion again, that we have recently started a quite big project in cooperation with the Road Authority through BVFF and the industry, SBUF, that we are having here at KTH, where we would like to evaluate the performance of different projects in a statistical way. And that is technical performance. And the main questions are the performance of different road projects that are procured in different ways, are they comparable? Do they meet the expectations? And are the performance requirements, the technical requirements, realistic? These are important questions, I think. Thank you.